Blackrue Investing here with you guys for another video. Happy 2021, everybody. I am not a financial advisor. Let's get into it. So, I was thinking instead of having a top stocks video for the week, I'm going to just do the top stocks I'm watching for 2021. Now, I want to set up everyone and make sure that they're in the best position for 2021. So, the way that I'm going to do this, I'm going to go over it using the hottest sectors first. Because as much as possible, like we can't really predict what stocks are going to be the hottest, right? But we can predict the sectors. And as long as I tell you guys the hottest sectors, no matter what stock that I'm covering here, you can look out for these sectors because there's going to always be some type of stock that we're not thinking about, or there's always going to be some type of SPAC that declares a merger with a company in a hot sector. And if you hear that's a hot sector that we're watching, hop on it. So basically, long story short, I'm just setting you guys up for the future. Okay. So really pay attention to the stocks, but pay most attention to the sectors. So if you see a stock in this sector that's hot, that's popping off, go with that stock and follow your gut. Okay, so let's get into it. So the hottest sectors for 2021 are these sectors here. And the 5 sectors in yellow are the sectors that I'm going to go over in depth. So those 5 sectors are genomic stocks, SPACs, SPACs that have merged, SPACs that have targets but haven't merged, and SPACs with no targets, EV, Ark Invest, and Bitcoin stocks. Okay. Now, the other hot sectors that I'm not really going to go over because it kind of spills into some of these other sectors anyway are fintech, clean energy, esports, e-gaming, and casino stocks. Now, honorable mention stocks, honorable mention sectors are cannabis, psychedelic drugs, digital marketing, and plant-based foods. Okay, so genomic stocks. The pull here is that genomic stocks can cure problematic diseases like diabetes. Now, if you look at my previous video where I went over genomic stocks, Kathy Wood at Ark Invest mentions that of any other disease, diabetes is the disease that has the most cost that people have. So genomic stocks are looking to cure diabetes, cancer, HIV, all of that. And basically, the pull there is to extend life for people. Okay. So, Ark Invest, Ark Invest, they're kind of the leaders in this, and leaders in this. Kathy Wood and Ark Invest, they are the leaders in their genomic stock portfolio is one you want to check out. But specifically, these are the ones that I'm looking at. I'm looking at BNGO, which is Bionano Genomics, PACB, that's another genomics company, and they have they do long strand sequencing machines. Um, Long story on that, they're basically looking at the whole human genome and they're looking at the whole strand of the human genome. BNGO is a penny stock at this point, but they say that their machine is better than PACB's, and PACB is at like $25 a share, something like $25 a share. So this penny stock at $4, if their machine is better and cheaper than PACB's machine, I'm looking for BNGO to really skyrocket. And here we have CRISPR. They do the short strand read of the genome, of the genome. So what they do is they read it short strand in pieces, and they group together those pieces. And then we have on Organovo. It's ONVO. They do 3D printing of skin and organs. So the reason why this is very important is because they can completely wipe out a organ donor list and save lives that way. So no longer do you have to wait on an organ to be available for you. They can 3D print an organ from your own cells. And that's what they're working on. And in some cases, they've actually implanted these organs and they've been successful. I saw on one YouTube video, they did a kidney for a little girl. She's like 2 years old and she had a whole bunch of birth defects and it's fine. And she's walking around and she's alive. It's great. And they did an ear for a child in Ireland. I'm not sure where this child was. I think she was in the U.S., but she had part of her ear. Something was wrong with her ear. They 3D printed her ear, and as far as I could tell, there's nothing wrong with her now. It's perfectly fine. So these are the ones. The genomic space is going to be a really big space to look for in 2021. The next one we're going to look at is the EV space. The EV space was big in 2020, but it's going to be even bigger in 2021 because the government is backing it. Not only the American government, the Canadian government. No government really wants to be left behind here. So we're going to continue to look at this space. We have Hyliion, where they have EV trucks. They're the first in this space, so they're leaders in this space, and nobody else is really doing anything with EV trucking at the moment. So, Hyliion was kind of a hype SPAC, and they went to like $50, and now they're at 16. But the moment they start announcing deals, this is really gonna pop off. So we're gonna look at trying to buy this on a dip. So Hyliion's one I'm really excited about. And then we have Green Power and CIIC, which will be a rival once it merges. This is for EV buses, like public transportation buses, school buses, stuff like that. And then we have SBE and TPGY. They're doing charging. Now, these charging stations are basically going to replace gas stations. So, this is going to be something we're going to really want to look at. I think the way they're going to do it is like you get a charging card and then you go up to your charging machine and you charge based off that charging machine. And I'm sure what they're going to do is they're going to have like little commercials and advertising that they can do with the charging machine. That'll probably be the next evolution of that, but that's going to be something we're going to want to look at. And we have EV cars. We have NIO and Xpeng, and of course Tesla. But this is going to be, I'm going to look more at NIO and Xpeng because they're more of a value at this point. So also we have NGA. They're looking at doing it all in Canada. They're a SPAC right now, but they're looking at doing EV trucks, EV buses, EV cars, and they actually have some of that stuff, I believe, on the road right now. And then we're going to look at RMO. They do batteries. They were Romeo, but they completely merged now, and now they have the ticker of Romeo. So looking at the EV space in 2021. Now, this is Ark Invest. Ark Invest stocks, first of all, if you guys don't know who Ark Invest is, they're a hedge fund led by Cathie Wood. And the reason why people like Cathie Wood and Ark Invest is because she was one of the first people on Tesla before it was really popular. And she has a top of the line education and research team. Like, she called Nikola before everyone was thinking Nikola was bad. She looked at the management team and she said, I don't see how this company can succeed with this managing team. Then lo and behold, months later, they come out with a short report saying that the management team is bad and that Nikola's just smoke and mirrors. So they're proven, they have top of the line research team and they seem to be connected with what's happening in the world. So all of her stocks and all of their stocks are some ones that we want to look at in 2020. Specifically, Pac B, as we mentioned in the genomic space. So all of these are genomic space stocks that are in their portfolio. CRISPR, and Organovo, and then ENVO, I think it's Evogene. So these are all ones that we want to look at. We also want to look at LVGW, LGVW. It's a stock that is a SPAC right now, but they're going to do ultrasounds on a phone. And if you check out their website, they're called Butterfly Network. They already have like 5,000 lights for their app. Basically, you have a little ultrasound piece, and you have a phone app, and through that you can do ultrasounds. So they already have like 4 or 5 stars on their app. Um, it's making ultrasounds cheaper. Instead of going to have to pay like tens of thousands for a machine, you can pay $3,000 for a lifetime subscription and the little scan piece, and be able to do them in an office. So this is going to make ultrasounds way more affordable for everyone. It's probably going to make that market bigger. Kathy Wood and Bill Gates are backing us. Now, last thing Bill Gates backed was Quantum Space, which has no revenue and went to $100. So that's why I'm really excited about that. We also have Open here. They're Open Door. They are a recent SPAC that merged. This is Chamath Polyhapitia. This is one of his stocks from the IPO, IPO through all the letters, SPACs, and very, very enthused about this one. This is going to disrupt the real estate space because they have an app in which you can go online and buy a house, and just literally they pay for your house if they are interested, and they buy it outright. They uh, let you pick your closing date. So all of that stuff with underwriters and getting a mortgage and finding a lender, all of that stuff is bypassed, and it makes selling a house very, very, very easy. So they're disrupting that space. Here we have Huya, HUVA. This is a Chinese company focusing on e-gaming. Um, they're goodbye. And also we have PERI. This is an Israeli digital marketing company. So all of these stocks are in their portfolio. I suggest you go onto Ark Invest's site and just look at all the stocks that are in their ETFs. So here we have Bitcoin. Bitcoin in the last 3 months has gone from under 20K to 33K. So that's literally like a 30% increase. And it's only going to go higher. If you look at some of the Bitcoin halving charts, they estimate that Bitcoin will go to 100,000 in less than 4 years. And we want to be a part of this. And one of the ways you can be a part of it, if you don't have 33K to spend on an entire Bitcoin, is to buy Bitcoin stocks. And the reason why Bitcoin stocks or Bitcoin itself has been more lucrative and has been going higher is, one, it just halved. And what a halving process is that means they have the number of Bitcoins that can be made. And they've done that like 3 times. So now it's more rare to have a Bitcoin or to make a Bitcoin. So it just makes Bitcoin itself more rare. But another reason why Bitcoin is thriving right now is because people are using it to hedge the market. Since we have a whole bunch of money that's being printed for things like stimulus and whatnot, people are trying to hedge the market and avoid inflation. So things like investing in gold, investing in Bitcoin, investing in real estate, and that it's not just retail anymore. Now you got people like Kathy Wood and Ark Invest in plays like GBTC, which is a Bitcoin investor. So now you got hedge funds in Bitcoin too. So it's really, really, really getting out there, and now Bitcoin can be used to actually purchase things with Square apps and PayPal apps, and on things like Overstock. So Bitcoin's really getting out there, and one of the ways we can play it, besides going on a thing like Coinbase and buying a little bit of Bitcoin, is to buy these Bitcoin stocks. So Riot and Mara are pure play Bitcoin miners. So what they do is they mine Bitcoin, um, and it takes a bit of computing power to do this. And then they have the coins to do with whatever they want, to like sell it for a profit if they want. And yeah, so these miners are ones that we want to get into because they're going to be mining the Bitcoin, and they're going to have assets based off of those coins. And then we have trading apps like Voyager Digital. This is a Canadian company. They're like a Canadian Coinbase, except they offer no commissions and they give you interest. And here we have like hedge funds or investors that are investing in Bitcoin and using that to just grow money. That's EQOS, GBTC, and SI. So we want to look at those as well. And now we have also a lot of diversified companies that moved into the Bitcoin space because they saw that it was lucrative. So CleanSpark, they build microgrids, and microgrids help. They're basically energy regulating programs that people can use as a grid. So you ever heard of the electricity grid? We have those in the United States, but in certain places they can't get to the electricity grid. Is what they do is they have a microgrid set up at their house, and microgrids can be used for a whole bunch of different applications. And what CleanSpark did is they used their microgrid to help bit miners lower the cost and energy to mine coin. So what they did is they bought their own miner, and they're going to use their miner and their microgrid to mine coins at a way reduced price from the regulation of their microgrid. Um, Mogo, they're a company that's like a kind of a fintech company. They help you manage your finances. They give personal loans. This is a Canadian company, but also they allow you to trade Bitcoin on their app. So all of these diversified companies, it's going to be great because, hey, say that the microgrid EV clean energy space is down, but hey, Bitcoin is up. So that's really going to insulate this company from falling, these companies from falling. Same goes with Overstock. Overstock has an app called T0, which is a Bitcoin trading app. So they're in that space, and I think they're also in the mining space as well. Don't quote me on that, I have to look that up. But they definitely have that Bitcoin trading app. So they're getting money every time people go on the app and trade. So, and they're also in the e-commerce space where they sell mostly furniture, but they also sell electronics and whatnot. So really looking for these guys to have a nice year, especially given that the holiday season has just happened. So look for their quarter four or earnings to be very well. Now, the next space we're going to look at is, and the last space we're going to look at is are SPACs. I love SPACs. SPACs, the pull here is the innovation. Um, SPACs are basically companies that are like quote unquote angel investors. They're angel investors that start a publicly traded company, and what they do is they go out and they look for companies that are looking to go public on the market fast. So what they say is, okay, you have this technology and you need money. We'll provide you with that money and connections, and we'll enter into a business agreement together, and you guys will be able to go public. I get a little piece of your business, and you get a little piece of the people I know, and the connections and things that I have available to me. So it's like a mutually beneficial thing. The company gets to go public first, and they get to go public faster, and they get the connections and money of someone who has it. So it's great for us as investors because unlike IPOs, where the only people who get to invest in IPOs in the beginning are hedge funds, SPACs are available for anyone to invest in. Retail, you name it, everyone can invest in a SPAC. So that's why some of the hedge funds aren't necessarily keen on SPACs because they give the retail people a chance to get into something on the ground floor. So that innovation and the management teams, these are the things that we want to look for. Like I said, Chamath, he's a former Facebook head. People that are good managers like that have SPACs that might not necessarily have targets, are things that we want to invest in because we know that these people are people who deliver and who are people who are smart and connected and will find businesses in an innovative, disruptive, and lucrative space. So these are the people that we want to buy SPACs of and sit and wait and let that money grow. So so some of the focus of this channel we're going to make on untargeted SPACs because that's where we can make the most money. If we buy warrants or just shares of the SPAC before they're targeted, that's when they're cheapest. And we can choose to sell later when they're at their highest point, get back in, what have you. But guaranteed, if we're in first, we're going to make money in that position. So here's some of the untargeted SPACs that I'm looking at. And this one is by Chamath, like I said, Paul Pauly Hapitia. I want to say the man's name right because I really respect him. So IPOP D, E, and F are SPACs that we want to get into. They don't have targets yet, but we know every one of his SPACs. I looked it up yesterday. Everyone that's merged is at least $17 per share in value. And these SPACs, they usually start off at $10 to $11. So guaranteed you're at least making about 50% of your money. Just knowing that you buy it and you hold it. With his SPACs, you're going to make 50% of your money. So we're going to look at all of his SPACs here. And there's a SPAC BTAQ. It's rumored to be looking at eToro, which is a Israeli Bitcoin play. We have Fuse. They're also looking at something in the Bitcoin space. Here we have BTWN. This is ran by Peter Thiel, who's another big former Facebook investor who's like Chamath who's really innovative, knows his stuff, and invests in things that are great. So we want to follow any of his SPACs, and this SPAC is rumored to be looking at Tokopedia. It's a Southeast Asian e-commerce site. And if you want to do any research on Southeast Asian e-commerce, look at a company called C Limited. They went from whatever price they were at their IPO to $130 something. I believe it was under like the 20s. So in 2 or 3 years time from 20 to 130. THCA is looking at a company called Transfix.io. None of these things are confirmed yet, so they're all untargeted, but these are the rumors. Looking at Transfix.io, Transfix.io is basically the Uber of trucking. So if someone needs something big, trucking-wise moved, they can go on a Transfix.io app, get these guys, and get something moved. THCB is a company called Microvast. They are looking at EV batteries. And then a company called RBAC. It's ran by Billy Beane. He's the former general manager of the Oakland A's. They're looking at making the Boston Red Sox go public. and the company that runs Boston Red Sox, the Fenway Sports. They own Boston Red Sox. They own Liverpool soccer over in Europe. They own a few different assets in sports that are very lucrative. So if he's able to pull this off, this will be a really good thing for us. If you look at Madison Square Garden, the Knicks company, their stock's currently valued at about 130. So, for example, this SPAC currently is at $11 or $12. If this is something, even like a share, if you can buy and just leave it and wait, and it can come anywhere close to a third of $130, very lucrative for us. So that's one we're keeping on our radar. Also, VGAC. This is ran by Richard Branson, the head of Virgin Galactic, another billionaire. And they're looking at something in the EV space. There have been rumors about Rivian, a company who does EV like minivans and SUVs, trucks. So these are untargeted SPACs we want to look at. But in some cases where we can't get the untargeted SPACs or we missed them or whatever, we'll look at targeted SPACs. Like LGVW, we went over this one before. It's in the Ark Invest portfolio. And then we have NGA. We went over that one as well. And then we have NBAC, TPGY, EV charging. And then we have BFT. This is a SPAC that this PaySafe. PaySafe is in a fintech area, sort of like a Square and PayPal. But the thing that they do is they have these little pay cards that kids can use on Fortnite and Roblox instead of having a credit card, because a lot of these things you can't put in a credit card, and you can't have your son put in your credit card and actually pay for things. So instead of having a credit card, you can just buy this PaySafe card and safely be able to pay for your son's Robux or whatever. And you don't have to worry about your information being on their computer or your information being used in the way that you don't want it to be used. So they have connections with Roblox and Fortnite, but also they have connections in the casino space with e-gambling, with DraftKings. So they're multifaceted fintech company. Also, we're going to look at merged SPACs that are kind of on a decline, but we know for certain that these are good companies that are going to progress in the future. So Hyliion, they do the EV trucking, we covered them. Then we have TTCF, which is plant-based foods. This is Tattooed Chef. This market is really big with Beyond Meat and the Very Good Food Company. Okay, also we're going to look at Open again. We went over them. They're disrupting the the real estate space. So these are the SPACs we're going to look at in 2021. I have an actual list of a whole bunch right here. If you want to take this down, you can. So let's get it. Let's get it in 2021. Thanks for listening. Really appreciate you guys. Peace.